It's the book of Second Ezra. I'll start at verse 9, and it reads. This is Second Ezra chapter 9. I'm gonna start at verse 1. Salakia, and it reads: He answered me then and said, Measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the signs pass, which I have told thee before, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. Verse 3: Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. Verse 5: For like as all that is made in the world hath a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest. I want to start off by giving all praises, all honor, and all glory to Kol Loyim La Yahweh Ba'Hashem Yahushai Ba'Hashem Racha Kodash Barakatam. I say double honors to my apostles, the elders of Great Millstone, who teach and do rule well. Peace and salutations to the Akim across the four corners of the earth, pushing the truth with faith and with sincerity, as well as risking their lives and their freedom to do so, now more so than ever. Shalom to the Akwat, as well as the Akim out there listening and learning. Lord willing, this is edifying. Shalom to the Israelite foreigners scattered abroad in the land of the nations, appearing like the other nations, but subscribing to this truth. To you, I say Shalom. This the brother Yahweh Sop out of the Cleveland GMS Church, coming at you with another lesson through the Spirit, through the power of Yahweh Ba'Hashem Yahushai. And basically, I was looking for something to do a video on, and basically I came across an article on my news break, and made me through the Spirit wanna do a video. Matter of fact, that's it right there. Talking about uproars of the people, and as you can see in China, basically, I remember the elder Mwatazak was speaking on how it was either the elder Mwatazak or was the elder Atazawan from Men of Valor, but nonetheless, one of those brothers was speaking on how China, you got revolts. I believe it was the brother Atazawan, because he said basically that's a socialistic government, and usually they don't really uproar, but now they're uproaring. The Moabites, which the Chinese biblical nationality is the Moabites. They basically, I forgot when was it, but maybe a couple months back, they were beating their citizens because basically they were doing bank runs, and citizens trying to come get their money, and they wouldn't giving them their money. And now and then on top of they have a zero CV policy, so they lock things down. You know what I mean? And that style of governing is going to actually make its way to America, and that's the whole point of this video. So at the end of the day, this is the spirit that's in the earth. We're just waiting to come to a city in Babylon near you. I'm not even really gonna read that. This is the article I wanted to read. I guess you can read. I mean, I'm not really even gonna read the article like that. This is the original one I got. It says, As anger rises and tragedies mount, China shows no sign of budging on zero CV policy. It reads, Zhao, an auto dealer in northeastern China, last saw his father alive in a video chat on the afternoon of November 1st, hours after their home on the far outskirts of Beijing was locked down. At the time, they didn't even realize the snap CV restriction had been imposed. There was no warning beforehand, and the apartment building where Zhao's parents and his 10-year-old son lived did not have any cases, he said. The family found out the hard way when Zhao's father was denied immediate emergency medical help after he suddenly began struggling to breathe. Damn, so he died because basically they locked everything down during a video call. Zhao and his son made a dozen calls for an ambulance, he said, claiming security guards blocked relatives from entering the building to take the 58-year-old grandfather to the hospital. An hour later, an ambulance finally arrived to drive Zhao's father to the hospital just 5 minutes away, but it was too late to save him. The local government killed my dad, Zhao told CNN in his Beijing home, breaking down in tears. He said he received no explanation about why the ambulance took so long to arrive, just a death certificate stating the wrong date of death. It says Zhao's anger is part of the growing torrent of dissent towards China's unrelenting zero CV lockdowns, which officials insist are necessary to protect people's lives against a virus that, according to the official count, has killed just 6 people from tens of thousands of symptomatic cases reported in the last 6 months. But increasingly, the restrictions, not the virus, are being blamed for heartbreaking deaths that have sparked nationwide outrage in social media. And that's scripture and that's prophecy. The scriptures talk about how basically he wasn't allowed to leave the city. He wasn't allowed, well, not the city, because they said the hospital was 5 minutes away. He wasn't allowed to leave his house because basically he was locked down, and that's in the scriptures. When you go into the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 15, and I'm gonna start at get to the point because this is all good, but get to the point. It says 2nd Ezra chapter 15, and I'm gonna start at verse 14, and it reads, "Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands." Now, you go into the different people standing up fighting against one another. There's going to be race wars. The scriptures talk about race riots, but you also going to have, people fighting against people. You got, people that's for this government. You got people that's against this government. You're going to have the citizen fighting against their governments. And you're seeing that on a basis because basically these politicians, are set up to basically keep the people at ease and at bay, but eventually people going to literally revolt. That's just scriptural. On top of it, I did a video about Nancy Pelosi's husband being attacked. Now, she retired. Basically she stepped down. And at first I was wondering, like, well, damn, was it true? Because it'd be a lot of false flags and a lot of psych ops. But no, that might have been true. You know what I mean? Because you got to understand, a lot of these regular individuals know where these politicians live. And when all shit hits the fan, these people are going to go to these people's houses. You're going to tell the people to lock down. I don't think people are going to be just as calm to lock down this second go around, and this going to be this second lockdown because you can see it coming. You can feel it in the air, like the elder was saying, don't be surprised if something happened real soon. People are stuck in that spirit of Black Friday and all that old bullshit. Meanwhile, you got a state of emergency in the state of Texas. Now, this is happening in China, but again, America basically applauded the way China dealt with basically their CV situation. So what do you think the next time when it's because like the elder, I was listening to the elder Malcolm from the Chicago camp, and he was going into how you got a lot of these diseases floating around right now. You got a lot of individuals talking about they sick or sickly. So anything can happen. Verse 16, "For there shall be sedition," meaning basically uproars. Sedition among men and invading one another. They shall not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of their actions shall stand in their power. So they're going to disregard what these government officials and these police officers, and they're not, because like I said, it's easier said than done when you watching. It's easy to say remain calm when you're not dealing with the situation. You know what I mean? And then you got to understand, a lot of these politicians, they're not in your situation. In these big cities, it's going to be very violent. I was listening to the elder Malcolm speak on that. He was talking about how basically he was trying to put in a provision where they are allowed to use lethal force with those robotic dogs. Verse 17 is the point. "A man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able." So, that's going to come to America, what I mean? And that's already happening in China. And that's happened before, but it'll happen again. Let me see. It says, on the same day Zhao lost his father, a 3-year-old boy died of gas poisoning in a lockdown compound in the northwestern city of Lanzhou after he was blocked from being taken promptly to a hospital. 2 weeks later, a 4-month-old girl died in hotel quarantine in the central city of Zhengzhou after a 12-hour delay in medical care. Many more families like Zhao's have likely suffered similar tragedies outside the social media spotlight. Zhao said he's contacted several state media outlets in Beijing to report on the story, but no reporters came. Amid growing desperation and anger, he turned to foreign media. Despite knowing the risk of repercussions from the government, CNN is only using his surname to mitigate that risk. "I just want to get justice for my dad. Why did you lock us down? Why did you take my dad's life away?" Growing discontent across China, anger and frustration with zero COVID It's like zero CV has reached new heights and led to rare scenes of protest as local authorities rush to reintroduce restrictions amid record infections despite a recent government announcement of a limited easing of some rules. And again, like I say, eventually, people, when that comes here, when it's a lack of food, people are not gonna, people were really abiding by you know, the last lockdown. People weren't really abiding by basically the 10 and not, because we was told to be in at certain times. The only reason why a lot of people were in at those times because a lot of like the bars and certain things were shut down. They had to close at 10. You know what I mean? So, and I said again, it's just gonna be a bloody mess, and the scriptures tell you that. You know what I mean? This place is gotten by violence, so therefore it's gonna go out violently. It tells you in the book of Numbers, chapter 35, blood defileth the land, and the only way to cleanse the land is by the blood, by blood. That defiled it. The scriptures talk about how the saints will take the kingdom. So it's gonna be bloody. A lot of violence. When you go into the book of Timothy, chapter 2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 1, it reads, "This know also that in the last days perilous times shall come." And then you go into, basically how the times will be. You're going to have, "For men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy." You go into the word holy. When you go into the word holy, it literally means when you go into the word holy, it means separate. So if you're unholy, then people are going to be joined onto the ways of the world. Without natural affection, truce breakers, false accusers, incontent. When you go into the word incontinency, it means a lack of self-restraint. So it's going to be lawlessness, fierce, despisers of those that are good. So, you're going to come into perilous times. Pretty much this. So prepare for a lot of violence. You know what I mean? Like I say, because like I said again, with these food shortages, and then basically the government trying to step in and tell people to just lock down. That's especially when people need shit. You know what I mean? Like I said again, I seen an article. I was gonna do a video on it. They was talking about 1 out of every 4 households didn't even feel that they could celebrate Thanksgiving. You know what I mean? Because of the fact, they said they couldn't afford it. And, that's major, you know what I mean? Like, literally, that's showing you this place done. This is the book of Revelations, chapter 18. I want 18. It's the book of Revelations, chapter 18. And verse 21, and it reads, "And a mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone and cast it into the sea, saying, Thus with violence shall the great city Babylon be thrown down, and shall be found no more at all." So this place was gotten by violence, and it'll be basically taken out by violence. And that's spiritual, because like I said again, when you go into Numbers chapter 35, it talks about the land being defiled by blood, and the only way to cleanse that land is by the blood of those that defiled it. So prepare, you know what I mean? Get your mind right. Scriptures talk about, though, the Lord is going to be a hedge to his chosen, his elect. This is the book of Zechariah, chapter 2. You can go to Psalms 91. "He that dwelleth in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty." What's the secret place? It's this truth, this wisdom, this knowledge. It tells you in the book of Psalms, no, the book of Isaiah, chapter 33, wisdom and knowledge. So like it, wisdom and knowledge still be the stability of thy time. Thy strength is salvation, roughly paraphrased. This is the book of Zechariah, chapter 2, and verse 5. For I saith the Lord Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushua, will be unto her a wall of fire round about. And who is her? Jerusalem. Who is Jerusalem? It's a people before it's a place. So it's, the children of Zion, Yasharallah, he Prince Power, Israel. For I, saith the Lord, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua, will be unto her a wall of fire round about, and will be the glory in the midst of her. So Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua will be our protection. It tells you in the book of Proverbs chapter 18 that the name of the Lord is a strong tower, and the righteous run up into it. So we going to be seeking the Lord to protect us, because at the end of the day, it tells you, cursed be the man that maketh strength his own arm, or cursed be the man that trusteth in his own flesh, roughly paraphrased, or trusteth in flesh. It talks about trusting in chariots, you know what I mean? But you're really supposed to trust in Yahweh Shem Yahushua. So if you're so-called Black, Hispanic, Native American, Seminole Indian, West Indian, or Haitian, I implore you to come back to the law, statutes, commandments of your power, Yahweh Shem Yahushua. Time is short, and things are about to really, take effect, So with that, I want to give all praises, all honor, and all glory to God, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua Ba'ashem Kodash B'Katam. Double honors to my apostles, the elders, a great millstone who teach and do rule well. Peace and salutations to the Akim across the four corners of the earth. Across the four corners of the earth, pushing the truth with faith and with sincerity, as well as risking their lives and their freedom to do so, now more so than ever. Shalom to the Akwat, as well as the Akim out there listening and learning. Lord, willingly, this is edifying. Shalom to the Israelite foreigners scattered abroad in the land of other nations, appearing like the other nations, but subscribing to this truth. To you, I say shalom. Till next time I'm able to come with another lesson. Shalom, shalom. Shalom.